incoming chair of the Smith Board of Directors. We're not going to do a lot of speeches tonight. I also made some promises that we would be brief and not sappy.
My instruction.
That was, yeah, per Tim, and I will follow his rules because it is his night. We do have 3 people who are going to say a few words, and then we will keep celebrating. So first, thank you, Katie. First of all, I'm happy to introduce Sue Coley. Sue is a former Smith board member, a Legacy Club member, and the first chair of the Spring Valley Area Community Foundation. Much like Tim, Sue has had a lifelong commitment of service to Southern Minnesota. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Erin. It's such an honor to be here tonight to celebrate Tim and his retirement. Tim's roots run deep in soil of rural Minnesota, born and raised on a family farm near Keister. He carried 5 generations of the Tenney family resilience, love for small towns, and unwavering commitment to the community. For Tim, Southern Minnesota wasn't just a home or a dot on the map. It was the heartbeat of our state, brimming with opportunity. Folks who looked out for one another and shared a vision. Tim was a Winona State graduate and went on early his career in political science and served in the Minnesota State Senate and no-nonsense approach to getting things done. He later represented Minnesota in Congress and in 2002 ran for governor as an independent. Through all of this, his heart stayed here right in southern Minnesota, raising 4 children and dotes on 7 grandchildren. When asked why he does what he does, he said it's simple. For the kids, for the grandkids, for yours, and for the future of southern Minnesota. He took the helm There they are. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. 4. I think do we have 2 more hiding there?
My oldest granddaughter is in dance competition this weekend, so she's practicing.
Okay, so she gives it an excuse from Grandpa. Okay. Hey, kids, nice to meet you. Tim took the helm of Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation with vision and with fire. And Southern Minnesota got a champion. Smith has invested $170 million back into our 20 counties. $170 million. Grants and loans, programs, it's gone to keeping daycare center doors open, to placing 20,000 books in the hands of wide-eyed kids. It's keeping businesses in Owatonna County, and I hope I said that one right, to Goodman County. Tim is a man of action, and some of the stories, the work we've done. In 2008, the floods hit Rushford. People didn't know if they had a business to go to. Tim came in to work the next day and said, what can we do? How can we help? The Smith Disaster Recovery Fund was created, and this has been a model for companies throughout the state. Tim knows success starts with an idea, grant, and opportunity. So behind every countless man is a woman. And Tim has his wife to thank for all the late night meetings he has to attend, all the county and city visits. And I was reminded by a friend who once shared what his wife said when he retired. Honey, I said for better or for worse, but not for all day. So we know Tim will be plenty busy, maybe picking up that guitar and playing at the next gig at the Steele County Fair, or maybe watching the Minnesota Vikings take a Super Bowl run this year. It's a dream. Well, there's Minnesota people always have one. So to honor Tim tonight, we are announcing the Tim Penny Small Town Fund. Woo! This is an endowed fund that will carry Smith's mission into our small towns, and and our goal is to raise $1 million. You know, this group, we can get it done. The impact of this is amazing. It's so exciting to think of the opportunity this fund will create for Southern Minnesota. It'll turn dreams into reality, and your donation can make that happen. You'll find postcards around the room and on ways to give. There's a live cutout of Tim over there with more information. It might be good today. In closing, Tim, you've shown us small towns just don't hold our past. They shape our future. Your legacy is in every child reading their first book, every business that kept the doors open, and every community that found its voice. The Tim Penny Small Town Fund isn't just a tribute, it's a promise to keep your vision alive with grit and heart and collaboration. Congratulations, Tim. At this time, it's my honor to introduce Amy Klobuchar. Our U.S. Senator Amy joins us this evening. She's been a champion of Minnesota since 2007, fighting for economic fairness, better health care, and stronger communities. Amy has built a reputation as a legislator focused on agricultural and rural communities and development. She's known for working across the aisle and bringing folks together. She's never forgotten her Midwest roots, so welcome, Amy.
I just thought this was going to be a small gathering, and there's like more grandkids. I can't even believe everyone here, but of course you're here as a tribute to the incredible Tim Penny. And when I walked in, I was thinking, what is Tim going to do next? And now I see he's like already a cardboard cutout. That leads me to think, well, if you ran for the Senate or Congress at age 73, you would be well below the average age. Around and people can take selfies, but I think what you all know about Tim, and I was thinking of the grandkids and the fact that you were never there when he was in Congress, but he was like a boy wonder, right? And he came in there and he told the truth, and years after this, there are still people that talk about Tim and what he stood for and how he stood up and was willing to talk about fiscal issues and the debt. And how he was willing to be different than other people in his own party and take brave stands. How he was willing to work across the aisle and make friends with people that weren't in his same party. And all of that, when I finally got to the Senate after he was already gone, I really considered him a mentor for how you can get things done and how you can be true to yourself in the most difficult circumstance. Like now. I've got to conjure my best Tim Penny right now. Let me tell you. The other thing about this is that I love that this is for small towns because you have stood for small towns. When I think about the things that have happened, when I think about Medelia, remember that? I was there with Tim right after they got struck and that half their main street was down. Or I think about a town that lost their child care. Tim Penny's there. I think about what he did after he left office. So many people that leave office are just kind of wandering around in the wilderness. Because they're like, oh, remember when everyone knew who I was? As my dad said after he was retired, his favorite thing was when he was introduced somewhere, this is a true story, as the former Jim Klobuchar. And Tim did not be like that. He decided, what is my mission? What do I want to do? And how am I going to get back? And he gave back, of course, after Barb died suddenly. I still remember that. You with your family and everything you did. You met the wonderful Sandy and your life is renewed. But you helped raise the kids you have these incredible grandkids, and then you decided, what else am I going to do for the community? And you did this Southern Minnesota initiative. And I literally, you imagine all the people that visit me about stuff all the time. He knew how to communicate with politicians. I still remember decades later the three major focuses of the economy in southern Minnesota. They did all these groups. They went to every county, and they were agriculture and sort of new agriculture, and it was manufacturing and innovative manufacturing, and it was healthcare. I remember. No cards, no notes. I remember this because he was so good at kind of taking huge, complex things and putting them into things that people could actually wrap their arms around and be part of. And I think about this incredible growth in southern Minnesota. When the pandemic ended, Chuck Ackman's here. He's been like with me almost as long as Tim Penny, but the former mayor of Faribault. And when the pandemic ended, there was an article that said that southern Minnesota, or when the downturn ended, that's what it was, the '08 downturn. Southern Minnesota was out of it faster than any other part of the state. And I still remember Chuck sending to the northern Minnesota, western Minnesota counterparts, my work is done, do you need help? So Tim Penny's vision of bringing together the region for workers and for everything from infrastructure on has made such a difference. And it's sometimes, you know, people may not remember all these things that he did in every county. And so it is on all of us to carry on that vision, but he has truly been the guardian angel of southern Minnesota, and let's celebrate him in that way. Now wait, I have something. I come with this, Chuck. Oh yeah, something you've never seen before, Tim, a congressional, an actual thing on the congressional record. We can't agree on anything these days, not even volleyball teams, so, you know, this is it. But it's just a tribute to you, Tim, and everything that you've done. Even mentions your books, you never know, might get a few sold. Common Sense, Payment Due, and the 15 Biggest Lies in Politics. That number has now been changed to 150. And just thanking you for the incredible work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. We do have one more speaker this evening. Former State Representative Dan Dorman is with us.
Okay.
Thinking it'd be brief and putting a microphone into politicians' hands, particularly those who are wandering. And before saying anything,
hold it close.
I represented Albert Lee, and Albert Lee has a strong connection with their state representatives and Tim Penny. Here's former Representative Ron Kraus, who worked for Mr. Penny when he was in the Minnesota Senate, and prior to him was his relative Bob Hokus. So there's always a Penny connection to everything in southern Minnesota. And so I'm here, and I want to, on behalf of Congressman Finstead, present this to Tim, read into the congressional record today. Congratulations, former Congressman Tim Penny, on his retirement from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. I rise today, I don't have my cheaters, but I rise today to honor the service of Tim Penny, a friend, a leader in Southern Minnesota, who is retiring from 18 years as president and CEO of the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. Tim Penny first stepped into public service 49 years ago when he was elected to the Minnesota State Senate in his 20s. From there, he would go on to serve in this very chamber as a U.S. representative for southeastern Minnesota, part of the district that I'm proud to represent today. Whether in or out of elected office, Tim has been a fixture in our state for decades, fiercely advocating for the region's economic growth, rural development, and community revitalization. In his nearly 20 years of leading SMIF, the organization has launched several grant projects, educational programs, and community improvement initiatives. His departure leaves behind enormous shoes to fill, but a legacy of service that will long be remembered by all of us in southern Minnesota. Congratulations, Tim, on your well-deserved retirement. Wishing you and Sandy with the best in the next chapter, Congressman Finstead.
Thanks again to everyone for being here, and Tim, thank you for your unwavering support for all of these years. It goes for all these people. We cannot thank you enough. Make sure you stay, keep celebrating, take a picture with Tim or his cutout if he's visiting opportunities, and make sure you take time to have a moment to thank Tim.
I am not going to give a speech, mostly because under the circumstances and with so many wonderful friends and partners in the room and grandkids and my own kids and their spouses, my wife, I would get emotional if I said too much. So I'm going to leave it at this, except to draw your attention to the middle photo on the wall over here, because that is Lafayette Park across from the White House in the middle of the 1980s, as I stood there with several other Midwestern senators and congressmen to urge cooperation from the White House on farm debt restructuring legislation, because we are in the middle of a farm crisis. And the reason I bring that up is because at about the same time we were crafting debt restructuring legislation, and I did have a major role in that, we saw the creation of 6 rural initiative foundations in Minnesota. And I was so excited that from the private side, there were investments being made in the future economic vitality of our rural regions. So we were a day late and a dollar short with debt restructuring legislation, but we got it done. It did save thousands of farmers. But then this foundation came into existence. When I left Congress, this foundation asked me to serve as the chair of their endowment fundraising committee. That endowment is now $65 million. And then in 2007, I was given the opportunity to lead this foundation. And I've always said, it's been an affair of the heart. And thanks for the opportunity to continue to serve Southern Minnesota.